Thank you, Bibi. Thank you for your wise words. Mrs. Tara, thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for reminding us that we cannot be a one-man show. No business can succeed in isolation, and success can only be done by passing the baton down and enabling the next generation. Chichi, thank you for teaching our creatives that beyond intention and hard work, they must be able to clearly identify and articulate their financial needs. Basically, they need to excel. Phil, excel. Bibi, excel is, my bosses here know that excel is my biggest strength. With my blonde hair, yeah. Toots. Blonde hair, excel, that's me. Bibi, for your wise words and for the assurance that the future, a viable creative future, is still Nigeria. Thank you. The Japa situation is real. I've worked in talent since moving back to Nigeria, and it's the numbers of people that are emigrating is so scary. They've lost hope, they've lost faith, and so it's always nice to hear from experts, from luminaries, from visionaries like Bibi that there is hope here, stay here, the future is here. It definitely makes me feel more comfortable because I feel like, what did I move back to? But I do believe that the future is Nigeria. So Bibi, thank you. All right, so we're moving on to the next phase of the day, which is our panel and moderation phase. We have 5 panels today. The first panel is titled Building Sustainable Creative Spaces, Facilities and Resources for Creators, Creatives, and Innovators. This panel will be moderated by Ifeoma Williams. As you know, Ifeoma, well, you might not know, but Ifeoma is our very own beauty queen. Did we know this? Former Miss Lux. Oh, okay. Everyone knows this. Okay. Ifeoma is, let me get my notes. Sorry, I've kind of been made homeless because we're prepping the stage for our panel. Let me just read Ifeoma's illustrious career. Mrs. Ifeoma Williams has a 21-year legacy in strategic communications. She's a global business development executive. She does executive coaching, and she is into gender-centric strategies. Ifeoma is not just a leader, she's a visionary, transforming organizational culture, coaching top-tier executives, and championing thought leadership globally. With her audacious Transform Her, her initiative, she empowers women to ascend to leadership pinnacles, setting the gold standard for strategic communication and influence the 21st century. Can everyone please give a round of applause for Mrs. Ifeoma Williams? Ifeoma, I'm going to let you introduce your panel.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for that introduction. When I see friendly faces in the audience, it helps. Sam, so just keep smiling. No matter how many times you've sat on a stage, it is daunting to speak after my boy, Mr. Balogun, my sis Tara, so I'm shaking a little bit. So every time you hear my voice shaking, please just clap for me. Thank you. It is such an honor to be moderating this panel, particularly after a great speaker like Amara. Amara, well done. At 16, I didn't have the foggiest idea what I wanted to do. At 16, I think I was already in the University of Lagos, but my main business was Ikoyi Club. So I'm thinking of how I can, pinch extra pennies for Suya, if anyone knows Ikoyi Club Suya. I have the honor this morning, and my brothers, thankfully, you're the ones on the panel. I I need your bios, but I do not have your bios. But if the creatives in this room are truly in the creative industry, then you know who. Okay, so I'm going to go by age and seniority. Let's keep it African. You know who Mr. Obi Asika is. Yeah, so unfortunately, two things happened just now. They said, check your email. And then I proceeded to check the email, and I realized that even with technology and all of that, I'm going to be squinting, and it's in my bag. It's part of the puzzle, and I've left the glasses, yeah. Next, I'm going to introduce another brother of mine. Are you still? Okay, but I know he's the founder of Chocolate City Group, Mr. Audu Maikori. So guys, let's just flow. Let's not be too formal. Now I'm getting comfortable. So if I do this and I whisper, just allow me. You found them. Thank you. If it spoils the look. If it spoils the look, just tell me to take it off. Effizi is all part of the creative industry. Yeah. Next, I'm going to introduce a friend and an abu. I was going by Ijo when I made a mistake. Okay. Yes, somebody who has contributed immensely to the Nigerian film industry, Mr. Linus Idahosa. Okay, so for balance, I've been asked to sit in the middle. So I'm going to tell you all my secrets today. The one I'm wearing is for reading. So I'm going to actually squint when I'm looking at the crowd because I can't see. But I can see the film. Finally, last but not the least, a very, very talented, his work is beyond photography. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Bayo Omoboriowo. When you have followed a Nigerian president around the world taking photos, part of your CV becomes politics. So Bayo is going to be answering all the questions as to what the government is doing about funding our creative space. So I welcome you to this panel discussion on building sustainable creative spaces, facilities and resources for creating these spaces. In today's rapidly evolving world, nurturing creatives is essential for societal advancement and economic growth. Today we're focusing on Nigeria as well as the broader African continent, where we see that creative minds are really shaping the future. What we want to do with this conversation is explore the successes, the challenges, and the way forward for creating these spaces. And so, guys, we're going to flow. But what I want to appeal to you is, let's make this a strategy session of sorts. By that I mean, let's put meaning to it. So let's look at where we are in the creative space, where we're going with trying to create these sustainable creative spaces, what we need to do to get there. So Amara, forgive me. I know that you are an environmentalist, and I promise you next time I won't print all this paper. It's the lawyer in me. So once I heard you, I was like, ouch, I have like 15 pages. Next time I won't. Yeah, some of us are still old school, but I promise you, next time there'll be a phone. I would just like, yesterday I was doing some homework. It was very important for this panel. Amara said something about living in Nigeria being limiting. I just want to share some stats with you about the creative industry, and Linus can probably speak more to this. So, the creative industry contributes immensely to Nigeria's GDP, employing millions of people. According to Statista, motion picture and music recording accounted for roughly 154 billion naira of Nigeria's GDP in 2023. Today, the global creative economy is estimated to be worth 985 billion with no signs of slowing down. G20 insights predict that the creative economy will account or could account for up to 10% of the global GDP by 2030. And Deloitte believes we will see up to a 40% growth in the creative sectors by 2030, according to Forbes. I think that those mind-blowing stats are enough to give this industry and where we're going a round of applause. Okay, I'm going to start with Audu. He's right next to me. And like I said, I couldn't see. So I'm going to squint, but I prefer it like this. So Audu, what would you say are the key elements of a sustainable creative space? First of all, what is this creative space that we're talking about, and why are we having this conversation?
Okay. Hi everyone. Low energy. Hi everyone. Come on. It's been amazing just hearing the conversations here, and I think we have, most of you remember that 10 years ago, this would never happen, right? It would never happen, and that's because people just didn't even understand, they didn't believe. I think one of the most irritating things I hear is when, with all due respect from CSA, we don't understand your industry. So my question is it easier to understand how the wedding party or the Ghost of Banana Island makes money? Is that harder to understand than understanding how some seismic eruption on the ground creates oil, pumps up, something happens, billions of dollars, and all of a sudden all the bankers understand what that is? Makes no sense. But the reason why is because we have not told our stories effectively. We've not sat down and talked and married creative with money and structure, right? So one thing about creative spaces, for many years, when you think about the biggest shows that you've heard, you're probably talking about Echo Hotel. I mean, they're doing every show in the world in Echo Hotel. Acoustically, structurally, we know what that means, but we just know that that's the only place you can do what? A concert. But today, look at this beautiful space, right? It's nice, it's not too big, but it's so well put together. The lighting, the ambience, etc. This is a creative space. But incidentally, Nigeria is a creative space. It's only Nigerians that you say, oh, Naira is 956 and on Twitter there's so many memes, so brilliant things that that's a creative space, right? That's Nigeria, that's who we are. But there is a book that I was reading quite recently, it's called Palaces for the People. And it talks about the need for places where people can huddle together and create amazing things. And one of the problems that we've had is that we're not being able to create a place where people can huddle together and create something that's amazing and collaborative as well. So think about, I used to say that if I was not president, maybe governor of Lagos State, probably president because the National Theatre is owned by the federal government, right? I would tear down that national stadium in Igbomo and I call it Nollywood. That's all. Wow. Do nothing more. And guess what's going to happen? People begin to move into those spaces and occupy. I didn't give it a free concession. I've given it for 15 years and say, look, if you have money, put your small mat, put your microphone, and begin to create. And this is what has actually stifled our growth, is that people don't have the places to be able to be themselves. In fact, in the whole of 36 states of Nigeria, there's only one place where you can be yourself. Lagos. So put your hands together for Lagos, because Lagos is that place. Lagos doesn't care where you're from, right? People just come to Lagos and somehow they find themselves. The only other place that's quite creative is Jos. Any Jos people here? God bless you. Clap for yourselves. You know. So in this instance, when you think about Nigerian music, let me talk about music really quickly, and then maybe a bit about film as well. Really quickly is that what changed in Nigerian music is not that we became more talented. Is that true? Have you heard of a song called Sweet Mother? Oh yeah. 1976. 10 million records in 1976. Outsold the Beatles.
Wow.
Clap for them now, guys. Come on. I mean, you'd be surprised to know that actually, even with Afrobeats, we haven't sold 10 million physical copies till today. So that's a big deal 46 years ago. Some of us were not here 46 years ago. You know?
It's my birthday on Tuesday, and I'm 46, so...
Well, please put your hands together for her. She's come of age. But really quickly, I think what happened is that we've always had the talent, we just never had the distribution system, and that is what social media has given us to be able to go global. So when you think about songs like Paul Ike Dairo, these are all big songs. We had all these things happening. The second thing I want to talk about is even about the film spaces. The biggest problem we have in Nollywood today is the function of the quality of the production. And I guess maybe later I'll talk about what I'm doing my part to help. But I feel that we need to create world-class production, because see, the reason why Netflix is pricing you poorly is because you know the production value is zero. You're going to go somewhere in Lekki, rent an apartment, the ceiling this high, right? Generator is making noise up and down, so even if it's I love you can't really hear it because it's probably generator buzzing. And because you know that they have put a peg on how much they will pay a Nigerian creative for their top production. So we need to create those spaces whereby they can see the money being spent. We need to create those training models, and more importantly, we need to work together. And I think that's the most amazing thing I've heard today. What BB, as I call him, say. I call him chairman. He says we must collaborate together. I always tell people something that if you do something by yourself, that's probably too small.
So when we're speaking about space, I like the fact that you see, I said we're going to be very strategic in how we bring all of this together. Infrastructure is one word. If I could get like a house secretary, who's going to volunteer? If you have paper or your phone, let's begin to put these words down. So we say infrastructure. And Audu was speaking to more granular things like you go somewhere for production and the ceiling is this high, right? So that's one point to note. So now we're beginning to unpack the elements of what these creative spaces should be. Because if you're going to approach a BB, for instance, you better be making sense. You see, as you were smiling and telling me about Liverpool, he doesn't joke. He bring a rubbish proposal. Anyway, let me move on to how the conversation. Mr. Idahosa, I'm coming to you. And I'm a little too scared to ask you a question because you are frowning, smile. So yeah. Anyway, you have succeeded immensely in your field. You have been part of many projects. I think what's most commendable about your journey is, like Chi-Chi's, you've looked beyond self, and you have been more interested in shaping by training. And so my question for you is, what examples of successful, sustainable creative spaces can you share? Are such spaces available, and what made them successful?
Thank you very much. I think I need to start smiling all through today.
Yes.
Great. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to Chi-Chi for putting this together. This is really, really remarkable. You know, listening to, we now call him BB here, he has had one impact, one way or the other, to so many of us here. I think it starts with a keen understanding that there is a difference between being a talent and the business associated with the creative industry. Your understanding that there are gaps that needs to be closed within the space that you're in, and a keen understanding of the fact that there's a science behind how you go about making money in the creative industry. It requires a particular type of skill set. And so what you find most times is creative talents getting into business and not being able to separate those two, and then you come up with some of the challenges that you face in getting financing. In 2010, I had a very clear vision. It was, how do we begin to identify the best talents we have within the creative industry and find the right type of partners to bring together to make it work? And so, in 2010, the travel advice to Nigeria at the time was, it was a no-go area internationally. But we were able to convince the New York Film Academy at the time, because we wanted an institution that had a history for being a hands-on training institute to partner with for our training programs. And so we flew their faculty in and we started the first training program. Now, we did not have the resources to do the type of program we needed to do, but I had relationships. Right? So it was not enough for us to have the vision if we wanted to build a strong, creative institute. We knew that we didn't have the money, and so we began to call on our partners. People we had worked with in our individual capacities, this is what we want to do. And then we convinced, the New York Film Academy had never been to Africa at the time. And with the travel advice coming from the embassies, it was going to be incredibly difficult to get them. But you see, turning your resentment about the challenges you have in the industry into a resolve that you will be that solution is where it starts. Understanding that you have a challenge is a good thing, right? But knowing that you have partners you can call together to make it happen is also an incredibly important ingredient for your success. And so when we did that, the first training started, we began to understand the potential that lay within the industry. Now, when Bibi was speaking, he talked about the mining industry and he talked about base metals, right? I was fortunate to visit a mining facility in Botswana recently, and something struck me a great deal. Now, they produce diamonds there, and it's very comparable to what happens in the creative industry. Some of the talents we have in this space, you can't find them anywhere else in the world. In fact, where's Loud? All right. Look, these guys can be paid $1 million. Sure. Sure, yes. They can. Now, are they talking to the right people? Do they have the right support to get them where they need to be? They're here. We have people who recognize these talents across the board. But there's something that connects talent and resource. And that's why I want to give an example of the mining industry. Those base metals I saw in Botswana that were under the earth, it started out with artisan miners. They had no training. But they were able to take on some of these metals from the earth, and they were selling them in just for nothing. But then the government sat down and said, we're going to build an industry from our mining, from the metals we have in our earth. And they created an infrastructure. They created a training program for these artisan miners to become professional miners, and then build a refinery to refine these talents. That is what this industry needs. Absolutely no difference. And it starts with support, like I'm going to do today, because whatever I've always, my being here is a function of someone believing in me. And so for Loud, I'm going to support you guys with 5 million naira. And here's the thing. Not only supporting you with that, we'll show you how, through the talents that you have, you can begin to break internationally. There are no boundaries, right? And I want to really encourage each and every one of us here. It is really important that we begin to understand how collaboration, what it does for the industry, comes with a deep understanding of where you need to go and where the industry can be. So I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, I don't even know who my house secretary is, but did we all hear the second word? And the second word is collaboration. So we started from infrastructure and now we're at collaboration. And we spoke about how we can merge or marry talent and resources, right? I once worked for a global organization where I would walk into the building. Audu used to tease me and say I was his landlord. Anyway, I'd walk into the building and there'd be young talent waiting with their CDs, hoping Sam knows what I'm talking about. Waiting with their CDs and saying, I need to get this on MTV. I saw the look on their faces. I saw that they had toiled and used their last dollar. But guess what? MTV is not going to play this video. I don't know if you remember Sam. People don't know that Flavor's Baby Sawa. When he got to Ash, he actually changed that word to Ash because MTV was not going to call the full word. But we have the potential in Nigeria to be bigger than MTV. I say this because 66.7% of Nigeria's population is under the age of 35. It's one of the youngest populations in the world. As Japan is aging off to extinction, Nigeria is just beginning. I say, Dehosa, thank you so much for that. Because what you've pointed out is there's talent, there's resources, but there is a journey to merging both. And it takes me to my next question, and I'm moving to my big bro, Mr. Asika. And this is where a lot of talent in the industry get it wrong. So they say, we have talent, but you have to know somebody to blow. No. So we're going to speak about funding, Obi. You've been in this space long enough, and the question I want to ask you is, we have BB in the room, we have BB's partner in the room. Let's just I'm not even going to look at my sheets. I want to ask you about, you've dealt with probably almost all the artists in this country, Obi. When they come to you and say, we do not have the resources, let's put the talent here, let's put BB, the money man, here, and let's put Obi in the middle. Obi, what is it that we need to address so BB can give us a listening ear so he can see the figures? As Chichi said, you go to them with the most, I love decks. And I've been in rooms before, recently, last week, the most beautiful deck. And I mean, you guys will attest to the fact that my phone is not easy. It's across continents. It's not American, it's not British, it's not Nigerian, it's my own. Yes. I had stood for like 45 minutes making this presentation. My heels were like 8 inches. My toes were pinching. I was feeling it in my brain. It was like being in labor. When I finished, the corporate communications executive of the bank said, I can't see the figures. I said, what do you mean? I'm telling you. So, Obi, what are we going to say to BB that will make sense? And to the young creatives in this room, what are the steps you need to take towards seeking this funding? How do you structure it?
Tutu. I'm wrong. Yeah, first of all, thanks, Chichi, for bringing me here. Thanks for the hard question. That was a really easy question. I don't even know. But, you know, in honor of something else that's happening this week, can everybody say, yeah, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. You know, this week is celebration. And, you know, the greatest of all time was born on October 15th from Nigeria. In terms of what you're saying, first of all, at the stage of entry level, they're not going to get to see BB. So let's park that, first of all. It's not happening, right? It's a straight immediate fact. They first of all got to convince us that they are worth the effort. And you see, the difference between now and 20 years ago is 20 years ago, you could literally come at Amara's age at 16, which is around the age you're starting to look at talent and say, oh, you know, I'm talented, and somebody might look at you. The game has changed, right? Now the talent has to have done something. So if you're trying to get to sign to an independent label, so that's not a major, but like a step between, you need to be coming with your EPK, which is your electronic press kit, to show us what you've done. How many places have you played? Who's listening to you? Because now there's data, there's social media. So Spotify can show me the top 10 cities where they're streaming your music. You need to come prepared, because if you're not prepared, and I always tell talent this, if you're not prepared, I'm not going to work harder than you on you. So you need to be prepared 100%, because the hardest thing to break is talent, right? I don't care what anybody tells you, the hardest thing in the world is to be a musician or an actor. Right? These people are permanently full of anxiety, stress, and depression because of the nature of the work they do, right? And if you are lucky enough to be a creative manager or a manager that understands talent, What you're really doing 90% of the time is reinforcing them in their own beliefs about their ability. So what we're looking for actually is, do you have the talent that can be refined and brought to a position where it's professional? And can you execute that and deliver that? So a lot of times when people watch social media, they're looking at these talents and they're thinking, oh, this is easy. You know, it's lifestyle. This guy just jumps on a plane from here to there. And I give him the classic, it's an easy thing to look at. I said, do you get tired when you fly 1 hour? Yep. Most people get tired, they fly 1 hour. If you do 6 hours, you're going to lose some weight, you're going to have some compression issues. So if you get off a flight after a 6-hour flight and you have to go straight to the radio station to do PR, then you go to the newspapers to do the next round, then TV, then you go do sound check, then you go to the show. You have to give the same level of performance that day as you did the day before. Because the guys that paid don't care that you're tired, they don't want to know. So if you're not able to deliver consistently at that level, you cannot stay at the top. So anybody you see who has more than a 5-year career, 10-year career, they've been delivering at the highest level consistently, and that's why they're growing. So when you've done all of that, then you can come down and sit down and say, hey, can we have a conversation with Bibi and the guys? Because then I can say, hey, look, we just did 10 million streams. This artist is 22. For the next 10 years, there's an upswing. Look at the age. Look at, she's female. Let me give you an example, Arya Starr. I could do $100 million pitch around Arya Starr right now because there's enough information, there's enough data. But hey, there's another 100 million girls that think they could be Arya Starr. They've got a lot of work to do to get to that place. So I think we have a lot of aspiration in the country. We have a lot of talent. We don't have a lot of managers, right, who understand talent, and a lot of people who can interpret talent to finance, which I think is what you're talking about.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to say, though, just to say it wasn't my question, Linus didn't talk about it, but Linus is about to break ground on a $100 million facility, a film city in Lagos, right? Yeah. And I have to say it because he's been building on a road, just as Chichi's been building on the road. And the thing about it is all about collaboration. When we talk about creative spaces, I'm part of an organization called ISN Hubs, which is Innovation Support Network. We have 180 hubs in 30 states, right? Those are all privately owned hubs. A couple of them are owned by state governments. But what it tells you is that creative spaces all over the country. What is not happening, though, is access to the spaces, right, to utilize them. So you have 400 universities that all have spaces. You have public buildings all over the country. We need to create, and we haven't designed retail, leisure, and entertainment districts in our cities anyway. So that is another big issue. And then, of course, live entertainment, right? So we're sitting here in Lagos. Audu just talked about Eco Hotel. I think there's a one coming by the Palms, but we still need a couple more. Lagos needs maybe 2 20,000 capacity arenas, one side on the mainland, one on the island, to drive what is happening here already, not the potential. Because as Bolaji was talking about, the services that underline this industry, I mean, if you're doing the live delivery services, the technical production services, they're working 360 days a year. They don't need that, but nobody thinks about them as this sector. But the sector is 90% the people behind the scene. So when you make a music video, only the artist is in the video, but there's 100 people on the set, right? And it takes 6 weeks. That 3-minute thing you see, 4 weeks pre-production, a week production, 2 weeks post-production to get to the video. But you know, when you're watching it as a fan or a consumer, you think it's just, they were just having fun. It's not fun. I know why it sounds laughing. It's stressful. Yeah. But I just wanted to put that perspective.
Thank you so much. So you see, when you are on a panel with an encyclopedia, you heard it all. So we have 3 words now. We have infrastructure, we have collaboration, and we have brand. Oftentimes people misunderstand brands to mean logos or images. A brand is a promise to deliver on something consistently, and that's a word Obi used. And a lot of work goes into building what is a brand. So from our strategic documents that we're developing as we go, before I go to Bayo, we now know that infrastructure is key because the right infrastructure will produce the right output. We know that the talent and the resources must be properly merged. We know that these talents have a lot of work to do before they have to get through the gatekeepers, Obi and Co, before they even get to Bibi, who will say, these slides, where is the Excel sheet? Yeah. And so finally, I come to Mr. Omoboriowo. Bayo, you're younger, possibly the youngest person on this panel, but that's not the focus. But I'm asking you this question because from relating with you, I remember we wanted to work on the biggest photography project. We're still going to do it. How can we ensure that creative spaces remain affordable for artists and innovators in the long term? I know you work with a lot of young people. And part of it is we don't have the money to hire a studio, or we can't go to Linus and say, we want to film in a city. So what do we do for these young guns? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Madam Chichi, for inviting me. And I think this question fits perfectly into the picture of why you invited me in the first place. How do we make spaces affordable? On 30 hectares of land in Abuja, I am leading a team to build the biggest creative ecosystem as of now, 30 hectares of land. And 30 hectares of land, we're already building. But before we did that, we started with Lagos, and I think Mr. Obi Asika was in University of Lagos a few weeks ago, where we've built I think one of the first purpose-built creative incubator in Nigeria. Purpose-built.
Fantastic.
And how did we do this? In 2017, when I became the president's photographer, I look back at my own journey. And it's quite, and I said I was going to talk about this because I started photography in 2010 professionally. And I have to say this story so we understand the perspective of this conversation. It's very deep. I finished NYSC and went back to University of Lagos to squat in Jaja Hall just to learn Photoshop and Lightroom. And many a times, I remember a night I had to crawl under the gates of Jaja Hall just to get into the hostel because the security had locked the gates. And if they see you, they will evict you. And from there, I learned Photoshop, started doing photography, paid 3,000 naira per shoot. I was at a hotel photographing red carpet. People tell me, don't photograph me, I don't need your picture, but I kept pushing. And my first point today is, keep going no matter what stops you. Now, a lot of creatives have already been punctured before they even get to the destination. They are discouraged. They don't even think the future would ever happen. So before we even talk about financing their project, some of them, how many percentage of creatives ever get to that breaking line? For us, we need to create spaces where they can even find hope in their creative practices. So I left Jaja Hall and I said, you know what, I'm not going to give up. And I started doing photography and I continued. And one day, I went to Ekiti, went to Osun, did everything. Nobody was paying me. Sometimes they give me stipend. But the president found me and I started photographing the president. But I remembered in 2017, and I traveled around the world with President Buhari, around the world. But I was the same guy that was squatting in Jaja Hall until today. I'm not a local photographer. Go to the White House and mention Bayo Omoboriowo, they know me. So the question for me is, this is a squatter in Jaja Hall who became a globally recognized. In the UK, they were paying me pounds recently just to come and experiment. They don't even know what I want to do. That is how much I pushed photography. And today, I started creating these spaces because I remember my own story. And I went back to the same University of Lagos where I squatted in 2017. And I said, you know what, we're going to create spaces for other creatives. And what did we do? Coming back to your question, affordability. I started reaching out to people. I reached out to Julius Badger. I said, please, through Minister Fashola then, I said, please, sir, I know giving me money might be difficult, but let them give me materials. So I started looking for scrap. So they gave me containers. And then I got a very intelligent architect, Ade Shokumbi, who said, you know what, Bayo, I believe in what you've been doing because I started traveling around the country, training photographers for free. But I saw that if I keep going up and down, I will not be able to, how many people would I be able to train? I said, you know what, can I bring them into a space where they can learn this photography on a sustainable basis? So he saw what I was doing through social media and said I was going to support you to build this. So we started using empty containers, and then he used instead of insulating with the normal polystyrene and all of this, which are very expensive, he used bamboo and cement to insulate. He brought down our cost. From there, to paint the containers, he used mud. Local architecture. And the point is, we need to solve our local problem with local approach. If we keep waiting for the world, how many people will be able to build this facility? How many? But right now, in that space, you cannot go there. The world has started studying it. Professors are coming from King's College London next month. They've sent me several emails because they want to come and study that facility. Locally produced, local architecture, smart economics. And the same thing we are doing in Abuja. Old train coaches. I went to Enugu State and packed old train coaches. Wow. I wrote letters upon letters, memo upon memo. I will come to leave Abuja, come to Lagos. I've written proposal in my life. I will write letter, and some people, sometimes I will leave. They will say, increase the budget. I will go back, increase the budget, print another set of proposal, bring it. And because this finance issue is not a joke, I've done presentation with these bank CEOs. And they will tell you, I love your idea, it's brilliant, but come back again. Then I'll go back to Abuja, I'll come back to Lagos again. And I was still working with the president. I will run, even while working with the president, a lot of people will read your letter, they will even make comments. That is the end of the document. But I said, I'm not going to give up. And right now, I have been able to, and that's why I had to come to reality. You know what? I can no longer be blowing English. Let me look for my own solution. I went to Enugu, packed old train coaches, and now in Abuja, we are using old train coaches to create accommodation facilities for creatives.
Wow.
Number two, I came to Lagos, and now I carried a live commercial sized aeroplane that was discarded at Lagos Airport and transported it to Abuja. Right now, it's going to be a creative space for creatives.
Fantastic.
In Abuja,
wow.
I carried container, went from one place to the other and started donate this, donate scrap, donate this material, donate unused vehicles. So to answer you, until we believe that we are our own solution, even as creatives, and anybody will encourage you, they will discourage you, they will motivate you, they will demotivate you. But the question is, it's your dream. Africa needs this solution. We are our own solution. And I've traveled over 85 countries in the world. If we don't create our own solution, see, we'll come to this room next year and nothing would have changed. Let's start from where we are to go to where we belong. Thank you.
Fantastic. Wow. Oh, gosh. You see, he's my two Viacom brothers had to stand up. Yeah. We know the story. Yeah. He's Bayo's kindred spirits in the room got up. They were like, it touched us. From Jaja Hall to earning in the only currency that has a surname. You know most currencies have first name. His own is pounds sterling. That currency has surname. From Jaja Hall. Please clap for Bayo. Clap, yes. So, if there is a fourth word, who can tell me what the word is? Sorry? What's the word?
Resilience, local impact.
Yes. The word is creativity, but I love resilience. So we have infrastructure, which might not necessarily be a building, but that is key. Then we have collaboration. Then we have the brand. What is the story? What is the promise that you will consistently deliver on? And then we have creativity, which is why we're here. And we have resilience. Keep going. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor moderating this panel. But I think we can take a few questions. Yes.
So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes taking questions from the crowd. If anyone has a question, please put your hand up and we'll have the mic passed over to you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, there's a lady in the white jacket at the back.
Right.
Can someone give her a microphone, please? How would like to do this? Please, when you get the microphone, introduce yourself, and just because we have 10 minutes, not a statement, not a speech, a short question, not an opinion, and please direct it to a particular member on the panel. Thank you.
Okay. Good day. My name is Dr. Dolly Nwokich. I'm a medical doctor. I'm also a creative. And my question goes to Mr. Obi Asika. Please, do you only develop music talents?
Do you want me to answer now? No, we support everybody. I mean, frankly, it's all about what you're, from visual artists to actors to producers, performers. If you have anything that involves talent, you can have a conversation.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? There's a lady on this side. Okay. After she asks a question, I'm going to go to two gentlemen so that, gender balance. Anyway, I'm not really sure what gender is now. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. My name is Juliet. I'm also a creative. So my question is directed to you, Mr. Bayo. Everything you talked about resonated with me. I love photography. I had to quit my job because I wanted to go into photography. So what can you use? My camera was stolen last year when I went for a shoot at Eco Hotel. I went to use the restroom and I dropped it with a lady. I came out, I didn't see the lady, I didn't see the camera. Okay, I didn't go to a photography school. I was training myself because I saved up on piggyvest to get the camera and I started training myself. So, because paying for photography is quite expensive. Now, what would you say to somebody like me who is passionate about photography? After my camera was stolen, I just said, okay, I'm giving up on this photography thing because all the places I've been going to, the prices are too much. It's something somebody like me who just finished school can't afford.
Remaining.
So what can you say to people like us who can't afford the training? Is there a place you can recommend for us to learn it at a giveaway price? Thank you.
Okay, I'm inviting you to Madhouse by Tikera Africa. It's University of Lagos. The cameras are there already waiting for you. The laptops are there, the MacBooks are there, the iMacs are there, the printing equipments are there. Everything you need to make life easy is already there waiting for you. We'll be launching maybe sometime in November. So just come there. I've gone through the pain so that you don't need to go through this pain again.
Thank you. Bayo for president, I agree, yes. You learnt well, eh?
So we'll take the next question.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel, a live production director. My question goes to, I don't know who to direct to, because I must say, I don't know, anybody can just pick up it.
I think Ms. Linus will answer it because he...
All right,
yes.
all right.
I'm not picking on you, I just want you to participate. So.
Okay, my question, so for my industry, the industry I currently operate, there's not so much training school. If for me, if I want to be good what I want, I will come to your academy and learn, maybe director, which is not, I'm not a filmmaker, so I'm not doing action cuts, I'm on production like this, on visual mix at the MCR. There's no so much training for our industry. We actually learn on the field, on YouTube, and so I want to know, is there a way for someone like me to grow and to also build my business?
All right. It's interesting that question was actually directed at me because we have a creative academy. It's called the Del York Creative Academy, right? And we currently have a program where we're training 60,000 filmmakers and animators from all over Nigeria.
Wow.
Right, for the next 3 years. So all you need to do is just visit www.Del York Creative Academy. All right, you can put my name and put We Create in brackets. I'll remember you.
Thank you. So we have one final question. Yes, the young. You have to forgive Novex. Her hand has been up for long. Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lakithia Delco, and I would like to say I am so grateful to be here in this moment and in this space as an African-American woman to have the opportunity to hear the initiatives that is being created on this continent. And so my question in the vein of that and the spirit of Pan-Africanism in the diaspora, how can artists like myself, I'm a television writer in California, theater artist, playwright, actress, be involved in some of these initiatives about either with training or either working to in a creative space to reach across the board and create high, beautiful content that reflects all of us here and there. So that's my question.
Thank you very much. That question's for Audu.
Yeah, hi. Incidentally, I actually invited both of them. That's her fiance, Alex. They're about to get married. Put your hands together for them.
Congratulations.
The ministry is moving. But seriously speaking, every person you see here is very accessible, right? Even in this space, I'm not sure that EcoBank told you, but there's a place called EPAC, right? There's a place called EPAC right here that we can go and check out, which is the creative space itself, right? The project you guys are working on, I can't talk about it, but we're going to be working together. And just, I was going to say DM me, but we're already in touch. But you're already plugged into the right people. Everyone here, there'll be an after session where we can all meet and connect. But trust me, look, the success of African creativity is linked very closely to America. Every time America and black people African people work together, there's been an explosion. Think about Fela. Simple example, right? He met that woman in America and his life changed. The music changed as well, and vice versa. So I think we can build on that definitely. But yeah, let's talk after this. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to give no more questions. I'm so sorry. You have to catch them in the corridor. I was tempted to, because of your hat, but we have to close out. So I'm going to give everyone, all of the panelists, 1 minute. If you talk more than 1 minute, I'll start singing. So I'll start with...
I will put them off, Ifeoma, don't worry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll start with Mr. Asika. 1 minute to close out. Your closing statement, please.
Yeah, okay. Great, thank you very much. First of all, thanks a lot for having us. What I just wanted to say was that, first of all, to congratulate Chichi again. We created such an important platform because the word is collaboration and convergence, right? And I wanted to put a plug in. Next year, end of February, the Omniverse will be live in Lagos, so we're expecting everybody here to be there. The Omniverse is around collaboration and building forward together, with the understanding that the creative industries, combined with technology and innovation sectors, have the power to drive Nigeria forward and scale across all industries. So we look forward to seeing all of you next year. Many of our members are here already, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Audu?
Yeah, really quickly. Can you put your hands together for Ifeoma? I think she's done an amazing job, please. She pretended that she didn't, she was a bit daunted, but that's a lie. Clearly, she's killed it. But for us, I think we've been in business for 20 years. In 2025, will be 20 years doing what we do.
Clap. You have bad belly.
And I think it's a privilege to sit here and be able to see some of the things that we dreamed about come to fruition. I've known Chichi since 2010. I was the first Nigerian Idol judge, and people don't really like me. But somehow Chichi also kind of took a liking to me, and we've been friends ever since. I want to commend you. This is brilliant, and God bless your ministry. But really quickly, there are opportunities around creative spaces that I know that are being worked on currently. This is with the Ministry of Arts and Culture and Creative Economy, as well as the Ministry of Communications and Innovation. Nigeria alone has, just in the Ministry of Communications, they have 1,108 facilities across the country that are doing nothing. There's another 1,000 or so owned by NIPOST. There's NT has got some prime property. My advice to every creative person is come together, form companies together. Sorry, this entrepreneurship, this solo thing does not work. Find a partner, somebody who can complement you and go together and build unions and go out and own these spaces. The government is going to open up very shortly, and people like you should go out and bid and own these creative hubs. They can be used for innovation, whatever thing you want to. But that's the only way we can build this industry, because we have a dearth of facilities and we don't have the funding to do so. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Linus?
So a perfect example of what he just spoke about is, again, loud, right? Independent brands came together and formed something that is working. Right? And that's what we're trying to do. And Obi Asika just, mentioned to you that we're building a film city in partnership with the Lagos State government, and that is happening. We're breaking grounds on the 18th of this month, on Wednesday, right? So we're taking our ideas and bringing them to life. What we are known for, we don't talk so much, but we will do the work quietly, and we will build this. And for each and every one of you who wants to be a part of this thing we're doing, we invite you to come. Come with your talent, come with your relationships, and we will build this thing together. We're building a vocational creative university. We're creating an ecosystem for sound stages. We're building facilities for folks who want to live, work, and play within a creative space. And I invite you all to come to Ejiri Nekbe on the 18th of this month. Thank you.
Well done. Fantastic. Bayo, last to speak, but certainly not the least.
Thank you very much. It's been an amazing experience being here, and I'm super excited about the future. But what I will say about that future is it's time as creatives that we stop playing catch up. It's time for us to see ourselves as leaders across the globe. A lot of times, now they're talking about AI, and everybody's saying AI is bringing disruption. Guess what? AI has passed already. There's already a future. As Africans, we need to step up and be ahead of the future. That is the only way we can lead the world. We've been doing all of this. They do this, we'll do the same. We'll copy it and everything. Our own problem is unique. Our solution is unique. Let's just get out there and solve the problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's been wonderful serving this panel. Just to say to what Bayo just said about AI and tell you how wonderful you are as Nigerians and Africans. I was having a conversation with Iyi Aboyeji of Flutter Wave, and what's the other one? I forgot the other one. And Andela, and Iyi said to me that, do you know that ChatGPT, the model, the brain behind it, ChatGPT was developed in Nigeria and Kenya. That is something for you to go with. And just to say that we have established certain words, we've said infrastructure, collaboration, brand, creativity, resilience. But to sum it up in one closing statement, you will only go as far as your dream team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ifeoma. Thank you. Thank you to our first panel. Thank you.